Welcome to the Tech Decode Podcast, where your host, Akhil Minocha, and your co host, Suresh Kumar Tulluri, aim to demystify the ever evolving world of technology. Our mission is to simplify tech for all of us, making it accessible and comprehensible. In each episode, we'll delve into the latest tech trends, and our guests will unravel complex jargon step by step. Together, we'll explore intriguing topics such as AI, generative AI, Web 3.0, cybersecurity, and more.
Welcome, cyberspace navigators, to the Tech Decode. Every week, we will peel back the layers of the latest trends, ideas that are shaping our digital world, and more. We will dive into the code and crack open the algorithms and dissect the silicon hearts of the machines that are transforming how we live, work, and play. So plug in, tune in, and let's simplify the intricacies of the technology that shapes our world. This is the Tech Decode, and we are ready to crack the code together.
Another enlightening episode of the Tech Decode. Today, we embark on a captivating exploration of cybersecurity, joined by our distinguished guest, Colonel Inderjeet Singh, an esteemed authority in the realm of digital security. I, Akhil Minocha, shall be your host, and alongside is my co-host, Suresh Kumar Tulluri. Together, we unravel the intricacies of cybersecurity.
Hi, let me introduce Colonel Inderjeet to the audience. Colonel Inderjeet holds a prominent role as the Chief Cyber Officer and Head of Cybersecurity Center of Excellence at Cybersecurity, showcasing a wealth of over 30 years in the cybersecurity area. His extensive expertise traverses various domains including cyber warfare, intelligence, and strategic consultancy. With a distinguished career in the Indian Army, Colonel Singh's education journey includes prestigious institutions like the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, and the esteemed Symbiosis Institute of Technology and Management, Pune. His academic pursuits culminated in a Doctor of Science in Cybersecurity from Lagos International University, Florida. He is a visionary in the field of new technology evaluation for commercial viability, startup incubation, entrepreneurship development, and strategic consulting. His areas of expertise include blockchain, NFT, metaverse, Web 3.0, blockchain security, darknet, and cryptocurrency forensics. He's also been named one of the top 30 Indian thought leaders in blockchain for the year 2021 and top 50 Indian thought leaders in blockchain for the year 2022. He has consistently delivered mission critical results in the field of cyber warfare, cyber forensics, crypto forensics, OT security, blockchain, and data sciences. He's also spoken at TEDx events a couple of times. Colonel Singh's professional endeavors extend beyond his corporate responsibilities, encompassing notable service in the United Nations mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo and co founding an e commerce venture. Widely recognized for his visionary outlook in evaluating emerging technologies, he actively engages in cutting edge fields such as blockchain, NFT, and the metaverse. Also, an accomplished author, Colonel Singh has co authored several influential publications. His expertise remains highly sought after with engagement spanning law enforcement agencies, educational institutions, and international organizations. Notably, he has been honored with prestigious awards, including the Cybersecurity Leadership Award from the International Telecommunication Union, United Nations Geneva, underscoring his exceptional leadership and contributions to the cybersecurity landscape. Colonel Indrajit Singh's illustrious career epitomizes his unwavering commitment to advancing cybersecurity, fostering innovation, and shaping the future of digital security. Welcome, Colonel Indrajit Singh. Thank you for being part of the podcast show with me and Akhil.
Uh,
Requesting my co host Akhil to start by asking you a couple of questions, and we keep it in.
Thanks, Colonel Inderjeet. It's such a pleasure to have you on
so,
the Tech Decode podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and it's a
So,
really pleasure to be with all of you today, Suresh, Akhil. It's a really wonderful initiative, and to talk on this particular aspect of technology. It's a pleasure to be part of it.
Thank you. Thank you. So, for the audience, Colonel Inderjeet and me have known each other for quite a while now. At least the last 5 to 6 years, and I got to know Colonel Inderjeet through my previous company, Persistent Systems, where I was interacting with Colonel Inderjeet, where he was with a company called Vara Technology. And we've kept in touch, and it's really amazing to see Colonel Inderjeet get into Web 3.0 in such a big way in blockchain and in anything to do with the internet and security. So we've been following Colonel Inderjeet ever since, and today he's a good friend, and I requested him to join me and Suresh on the podcast show. So thanks, Colonel Inderjeet. Let's move on to our set of questions for you. Let's move on to understanding cybersecurity in a slightly more detail. You're the best person who could really decipher and uncover that. So, for somebody who may be new to cybersecurity and the concept, could you give an overview on what cybersecurity really is?
Thank you, Akhil, for a wonderful setup, and thank you, Suresh, for a very elaborative, brief about me, introduction about me. It was I'm really humbled of those words, and certainly, cybersecurity is very important, and it's not merely a technical safeguard against any digital threat. What we say, it's a holistic approach where it's encompassing people, processes, and technology. And if you look at it at its core, cybersecurity seeks to protect the sensitive data, your critical information infrastructure, your digital assets from threats such as malware, phishing, social engineering attacks. And there's so many of them every minute. What we are talking, there's new methodology which is evolving. And it involves a continuous cycle of risk assessment, your threat detection, incident response, your mitigation strategies. And cybersecurity extends beyond the confines of organizational boundary. So that's where it's the ambit of cybersecurity has grown so big, necessitating the collaboration with the stakeholders, including the government agencies, your private sector entities, your international partners, and to ensure collective resilience against a cyber threat. So it's a real big landscape if you look at it, the cybersecurity. And hackers are really keeping us busy today. And while we talk, there is one cyber attack which is happening.
Got it. Got it. And that's, definitely we keep hearing the news of cyber attacks and cyber terrorism and whatnot. So let's move on to Web 3.0. Well, let's uncover Web 3.0. What, Colonel Inderjeet, is Web 3.0?
So interestingly, the way we have been using the internet, the Web 2.0, it's a more of a informational web, and we're interacting using the Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and WhatsApp, and other social media applications which are there. And when we talk about Web 3.0, and that's what the whole thing is going to change in a couple of years, from a centralized network to the decentralized network. And that's going to be a real big upgrade of the internet. And it's going to be the underlying technology for the internet. And when we use internet now, we often share personal information with the big companies, and they are the owners of your data. You don't own the data at all, and that's what is a pain point for everyone. And with the Web3 coming in, it's going to be really different. The ownership of the data will be with the person who originates the data. It will be giving you the more control over your data and making internet safer and more private, right? Even while we talk of the HTTPS as a protocol, we may go in for protocols like IPFS. And imagine a web where you can do things like buy and sell without needing a trust, right? And to trust a big company to keep your information safe. And that is really going to be a big game changer. And the idea behind Web3, if you look at it, it's about making the internet more decentralized, distributed, and no single company or entity who's going to have, all the power over your information. You're going to be having the power of your information. You'll be the owner of your information, and as and when you require, you can share it. That's what is going to be the game changer in due course of time.
Got it. Got it. So moving on to the anticipated rise of Web 3.0, what transformative changes do you see or foresee compared to the current internet paradigm, Colonel Singh?
The whole internet, if you look at it, the emergence of Web3 is going to represent a paradigm shift in the internet landscape itself, right? Characterized by decentralization, distributed networks, interoperability, enhanced privacy. So those are going to be the key pillars of the Web3. Unlike the predecessor Web 2.0, which we are very comfortable with, we think that this is the ultimate, but the Web 3 aims to empower the users with greater control of their identities and data and leveraging technologies such as blockchain and decentralized protocols. So the protocols itself are going to change. And like I was telling you, we may shift from HTTPS to IPFS. And by decentralizing the data storage and processing, Web3 is going to mitigate the risk which are associated with the centralized authority, and we are facing lots of challenge on that particular aspect. We are having a single point of failure, so we're going to move away from those kind of things, and it's going to be fostering trust and transparency in online interactions. And there's going to be a seamless interoperability between diverse platforms and the applications. What we are going to, see those kind of use cases coming up. We're going to be seeing decentralized finance to self-sovereign identity management, which is going to come up. So that's where the whole banking is going to kind of change the way it is presently working. And Web3 is also going to introduce a kind of a challenges. So not everything is going to be the best way out. Every technology which comes has got its own challenges. So it's going to be the challenges of governance model, its scalability issues are going to be there. The regulatory considerations are going to be the one which we have to address, and so that we are able to realize the full potential while we are safeguarding against the emerging threats. So the threats are going to be always there, whether it's a Web 2 or Web 3. So those kind of things are emerging, and it's part of the whole ecosystem. And that's where we're going to see the way forward while we see the Web 3 being, coming into place.
Understood. Very insightful. So, both for the audience and myself and Suresh, let's try and get into the dark web, right? So, if you look at the dark web and the murky depths of the dark web as we see today, could you shed some light or implications for cybersecurity of the dark web and how organizations can navigate?
Interestingly, while we browse the internet, and we think that is a very common terminology that, we get everything over the Google. Just Google it is the very common terminology which we've been using. Unfortunately, if you look at it, the Google, just Google it is only 4% of the overall internet. And the remaining 96% of the internet is the dark web and the deep web. And when did it happen? Just to give you a story behind it, it was around 2006 when U.S. Department of Defense, they had made a browser called Tor. They made that browser public, and it was kind of being open for everyone to use it. And it was only in 2011-12 when the first of the Silk Road dark marketplace was being seen, and it was selling the drugs with cryptocurrencies. So that's how the whole scenario changed. So the mystery of dark web is quite a bit. It presents a quite a complex ecosystem with all the illicit activities which you think of, and the underground markets are there. So you have the markets like your Flipkart, Amazon, Myntra, similar looking markets which are there in dark web. But what are they selling? They're selling drugs, they're selling weapons, they're selling counterfeit currencies, they're selling the artifacts, everything which you think of. You talk of the terror financing happening, your terrorists talking to each other. There are chat rooms where the terrorists are there talking to them. The hackers who are there in the dark web. There are ransom for as a service which is being sold, malware as a service which is being sold. So dark web serves as a heaven for the cyber criminals. Why? Because it gives anonymity and impunity. And this is what the dark web is all about. And what do they use? They use cryptocurrency because it gives them anonymity as well. So that's where the transactions are through the crypto. Dark web gives them anonymity. It's a real big heaven. And for the organizations who are navigating their kind of through the different kind of crimes, it's a very easy to do so. And uh, there are lots of uh, criminal activities which we need to identify. Lots of law enforcement agencies are really working to pin down these criminals. There, over a period of time, we have seen, the law enforcement agencies actually working 24/7, catching the criminals. So there is a kind of a platform called Threat Intelligence Platform. So law enforcement agencies across the world actually try and nab the criminals using the threat intelligence platform, honeypots, honeynets, which they create. So darknet monitoring is a major effort which is required. There are almost 18 to 19 countries who have law enforcement agencies monitoring 24/7. They have created different kind of models to try and trap and catch the cyber criminals, disrupt the cyber operations, and then work it out and deface those kind of operations what they're doing, and bringing the people to the front. So that's where the dark web is all about. It's a kind of a problem area right now, and there are lots of policies are required. There are a lot of processes which are required. There's a lot of training which is required to train the people to catch the criminals in the dark web.
Very interesting, and I really didn't know, probably more than 20% of what you've just covered. Very, very insightful. Thanks for that, Colonel Inderjeet. Let's move on to OSINT, right, or open source intelligence, which stands as a crucial tool in the cybersecurity arsenal. Can you elaborate on its pivotal role and offer insights into effective OSINT utilization?
Yeah, very interestingly, the OSINT, like you told, it's open source intelligence. Most of the criminals, when they do a crime, may be present on the social media like Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn or WhatsApp or any of the Snapchats. So there's so many number of, Wikami. There's so many number of platforms which are there. They are present, and when they, are doing the crime. And OSINT primarily is a cornerstone for all the cybersecurity operations of the law enforcement agencies today. It gives them insights into any emerging threats. They can catch the criminals. So, what practically we try to do, open source intelligence practically picks up the public available information from diverse sources of, say, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, your Skype, your WhatsApp, only the initial part of it, your Telegram, and then you try and correlate about a particular identity. So how do you really find it out? You may find a criminal using just a phone number. You can find a criminal just using a photograph, if that photograph is available online, or using an email, or using a email address or his name. So combination of 4 5 things you can use to find a criminal, how he's been using the social media, his social media presence, his presence in the different forums, his presence in different groups, or what is he talking, what is he posting, right? And what it actually gives, the OSINT primarily gives the law enforcement agencies, they are able to gain the situational awareness, right? They're able to identify potential risks which are there. They can proactively respond to cyber threats, and more importantly, what we talk of today. We are right now talking of a reactive policing, right? With the OSINT, we can get into a model of proactive policing, right? Where we can identify the based on the behavior analysis or the sentiment analysis, we can find out the potential criminals, right? And therefore, if you look at it, the OSINT serves as a force multiplier, augmenting the traditional threat intelligence feeds with real-time data and context-rich analysis. And it really is a kind of a way where all the law enforcement agencies, when they're using it, they're able to catch the criminals. And the different technologies are being used. There are automated tools which are there. There are machine learning algorithms. They are there. Like I told you, there is a sentiment analysis. There is a human behavior analysis. What we're looking for. So all those are being correlated. There's an aggregation of data, and then it is brought up into a actionable intelligence. And with the collaboration of industry peers, government agencies, your cybersecurity communities, we can actually pinpoint the criminals. We can find it more information or the fostering information about the criminal and put him behind the bar. So Austin plays a major role in today's crime investigation because every crime has got a social media somewhere down the chain which is being associated, right? So that's where it plays a major role altogether.
Got it, got it. So that brings me to two questions in my mind, Colonel Inderjeet. One, is there an artificial intelligence linkage to OSINT or an integration with OSINT? And the second thought in my mind is that in the realm of cyber terrorism, how do you define this growing threat? And could you illustrate with examples of cyber attacks that fall under this classification?
Yeah, very interesting. So AI plays a major role in OSINT. And while I told you, there's a huge amount of data when you look at on the social media. And there are data mining tool where you do the data mining, you do the data warehousing, data lakes are being created, and then you want from that data you want to create actionable intelligence. That's where your machine learning algorithms really kick in. Your deep learning algorithms are there, and then you try to put the right pieces together to make it as an actionable intelligence, and you can work as a proactive policing, right? Now, the other question which you asked is about the cyber terrorism. Just to clarify where the cyber terrorism word comes from, and we actually have three kind of cyber things. One, we talk about cyber crime, where the cyber crime is being done only on an individual. So that's where the terminology comes to cyber crime. Cyber bullying, cyber stalking, all those things are cyber crime. When it's being done on a group of people, it forms as a cyber attack. And whenever there's a cyber attack which is on a critical infrastructure of the country, right, it is termed as a cyber terrorism. When we look in from a perspective of India, so IT Act 2000, we have Section 66F, where we have come up as a word as a cyber terrorism. And the first case of cyber terrorism, in fact, was when 23rd of November 2022, AIMS cyber attack, if all of us are remembering that, it was the first case which have been registered under cyber terrorism because it is damaging the critical infrastructure. When I say critical infrastructure, it's like your power, your water grids, your aviation sector, your railways, your any of the infrastructure, nuclear power plants, government infrastructure. So all those form as part of your critical infrastructure. Because cyber terrorism today is a kind of a formidable challenge when we look at the security landscape, because it's being done not only by the normal, lone wolf attackers, it's been done by the nation state actors, like APTs, the nation state actors like North Korea, China, and other countries, Russia, Pakistan. All those countries do have APTs, and those APTs are being focused on a particular kind of threats or attacks which they want to do, maybe on a banking sector, like the APT 41, or North Korea, very famous APT is Lazarus, which is quite active since so many years. So they form a threat to the national security, critical infrastructure, your public safety. And it's a kind of where it's going to cause a damage, which is a kind of a big problem. And they can have attack which has got long-term ramifications on the country. Like case in point, Estonia was being attacked, and their stock market in 2007, it took them so many years to even revive. Other type of cyber terrorism attacks are, last year we had attack that's in April 2022. We had attack by a group called Anonymous Sudan. So they attacked 5 of our airports, starting from your, Delhi, Bombay, Hyderabad, Kochi, and Goa. and they did a DDoS attack for 3 odd hours. And you can see the audacity of those groups, how they're working. They went onto the Telegram and posted that which are the areas which you want to attack in India, and they put a poll asking for whether it's a hospital or airports, right? And there were people, almost 2,700 plus people voting for, between hospital and airports. And they also, went in and post a list of 12,000 gov.in sites. So this is the way the cyber terrorists are all operating, right? And they are employing various means to achieve their nefarious objectives. So we are under a constant threat. And moreover, borderless nature of cyberspace enable cyber terrorists to orchestrate attack to the remote locations. They can exploit the vulnerabilities in interconnected systems, and they can amplify their impact on targeted organizations and societies, which have got long-term ramifications. And to counter these kind of threats, governments, your law enforcement agencies, your national level security agencies, all of them are working in a very collaborative manner. We have cybersecurity professionals as well. They are sharing intelligence, they're enhancing the cyber detection capabilities, they're trying to implement robust cyber defense measure to thwart potential attacks and safeguard the critical assets from malicious attacks. This is how it's really happening. The terrorism is become a real threat right now.
Very interesting. And since you are a former military colonel, really relating this with the field military, or when I say field, I'm talking about the combined defense forces, right? So that's then one part of protecting the country's interests. And the virtual world has a completely different threat altogether, uh, right? Which you just talked about, protecting the country's interest in the realm of internet security and cyber security. So, very profound and interesting thoughts. And wanted to understand a little bit more, Colonel, on the role of law enforcement agencies in combating cybercrime. If you could tell us about that,
Interesting,
please.
this is a very, very interesting points if I put it across, Akhil, Suresh. Just to tell you, because law enforcement agencies today play a very pivotal role in the crime investigation. And if you look at or pick up any crime which is happening in India, it's got a cyber component which is already there. And just to tell you, the Jamtara cases, which are all we've been talking of in India, and we only thought Jamtara or Nu was the only place. But if you look at every state has got some hotspot like Jamtara, which has emerged. So that's where the situation is. And one of the RTIs, the report which was being brought out last year, and it told that there were 21 lakh crimes which were being reported, out of which 43,000 were being converted to FIR, and you can work on the number of the conviction ratio seeing in India, number of cases which are practically being solved. So that's where the cyber policing becomes very important. They play a very crucial role in solving these cyber crime cases, and they have to have a kind of a very proactive, multifaceted investigation methodology. They need to have an international collaboration, because most of the times when we find the attacks are happening across the border, right? The criminal is beyond the borders, doing somewhere, and getting away with it. So international collaboration with Interpol, Europol is a very important thing, so that the cycle of investigation, it is being fastened. We are able to put the criminal behind the bars, and also the capacity building becomes a most important factor. Now, when look at the law enforcement, like I was telling you, that we are in a reactive phase of policing. We are working on the crimes happening, and then we are reacting. We have to move to a proactive or a predictive policing, so that and that is all possible with AI coming in, machine learning coming in, and also what we need to have is a robust legal framework and a regulatory mechanism to facilitate the prosecution of cyber criminal. Just to tell you that we are still using the IT Act 2000. We are looking in for the next IT Act, which is more robust. And I think there's a Digital India Act, which is likely to come into India, which is going to look in for all the newer age crimes of AI and deepfakes and cyberbullying, what we talk of. And it will actually deter the criminal activities in the cyberspace. That's where we are going to be working out. And what we need to do as a law enforcement agency, we need to invest in all the advanced digital technologies. Like I told you, the threat intelligence, your sentiment analysis, your behavior analysis, your digital forensics capabilities, your cyber threat intelligence to keep pace with the evolving cyber threats. And you can effectively investigate the complex cyber crimes, because the cyber crime is also changing the face every time. It's not one shoe fit all model. All crimes are different and need to be solved differently. And just we need to remember, whatever piece of information we have the access to, the criminal also has the access to. So he can tamper with any information which is there on the internet, right? And the speed is the essence. Whosoever, the earliest to grab the information, take the snapshot of it, work on that information and correlate and try and pinpoint the criminal. That's the essence of solving the cases in a fast mode manner. And when you look at the international corporation and information sharing, it's of paramount importance in transnational cyber attacks, right? Like I was telling you that there's so many number of cases because it's happening through social media, it's happening through Facebook or Twitter, and most of the criminals, you'll find that they are not in India itself, right? And that's where you require, or a cryptocurrency crimes. So that's where you require a close collaboration between the law enforcement agencies, your different government bodies, so and the private sector stakeholders across the border. So those play a major role in solving the cases in a fast manner. And what we need to do is, if you need to bring down the cyber crime in India, very importantly is we need to have a public awareness. We need to foster the culture of cybersecurity right at the beginning, right? And we should empower individuals and organizations to recognize and report cybercrime incidents and contribute to a safer and more digital environment for the stakeholders. So that's where the whole system look seems to be moving ahead to.
Thanks for that. I've exhausted whatever was in my mind on the flurry of questions we fired at you, but I will ask my co-host Suresh Kumar to ask you a few questions on what comes to his mind. Suresh, over to you.
Thank you, Akhil. So, first of all, Colonel Singh, this has been fabulous, right? So, the kind of insights that we're getting from those topics are phenomenal, and I'm sure our audience will love it too. I'll have a bunch of questions, and maybe you could give us a little more insights into cybersecurity. Often there is this misconception on cybersecurity, on the kind of myths we might be living in, or the kind of clarity that we should really have about cybersecurity. So, could you share some thoughts on what is your perspective from a broad level cybersecurity? And I'm taking a step back there.
Yep, interesting. Thanks, Suresh, and thanks, Akhil, for all the wonderful questions. And if I tell you that if you ask any CISO today that is your network safe, he will say yes. Why? Because he'll say I've got all my policies in place. I have a DLP in place. I have a physical security in place. I have a network security in place. I have a host security in place. I have a data security in place. Everything which you think of is all there, right? And then too, there are cyber attacks which are really happening. Where's the fault? Where are we going wrong? We are doing auditing. We are doing vulnerability assessment. We are a kind of all go by the book model we are trying to achieve, right? But there's a challenge. The challenge is uh, the attackers are quite fast. Number one point, they are the antivirus won't really work. They are all machine learning based malwares which have come up. The attack surface is really increasing, and every device you bring in, it's going to be a challenge, right? And the attack surface grows further, gets multiplied. And what we are looking at is there's no single pane of glass where we get the whole, the security vision, what we get at security awareness, what we have. And because we have been working in silos. So what we need to do at the next level is we have to have a security awareness which is available on a single pane of glass which is there, and we should also have the best in class security. And the other thing which is very important from the cybersecurity perspective is we always thought all the threats which are there are outside, the building, outside the network, right? And my network is secure. That's what we have been throughout our life. But and that's how our whole, architectural designing has been done. But now the scenario has changed with the attacker getting more complex, their attacking strategy more complex, malwares are more complex, there are zero-day attacks which are happening. The problem is now you should change the whole thought process of inward out to outward in, and you should know what's really happening in your network. And what you should do for that, you should have threat intelligence of your network, you should have the threat hunting, you should have a continuous vapt, you should have a continuous auditing, you should have the vision of your network as it looks from the hacker's point of view. That's where we need to change the whole security paradigm, right, to the latest kind of threats which are there. And uh, to debunk these kind of, myths that we are safe, we should emphasize on the cybersecurity as a shared responsibility. And most of the time, like earlier, it was thought to be like any cyber attack which happens is a technical problem. And now that's not the case. It's really a business problem. If there's a ransomware which is happening, it's a business problem. It's a stakeholders problem. It's a CEO's problem. It's an investors problem. So it requires a very holistic approach. It requires a very approach encompassing people, processes, technology. So the way the attack happens in one of the cases when we say it's a phishing attack, it starts only with one click, and there's an attack which happens. So who's responsible? That click can happen from the topmost boss of the company to the last person in the company. So that's where the whole scenario lies. So we should have a very regular cybersecurity training. Board of directors need to be trained on, right? There has to be awareness program for employees at all level, right? There should be for implementing robust security controls, your protocols to mitigate internal and external threats. Inside the threats is another challenge, right? And lots of cases of insider threats we have seen. It's really a major issue when it comes to security. And uh, earlier time, most of the organizations didn't have a budget for the cybersecurity. Now is the time when they should recognize that investing in cybersecurity is not just a cost, but an investment in protecting their assets, reputation, and long-term viability. And this is how they have to really, come up with. They have to think of, being safe. And they need to foster culture of cybersecurity awareness and accountability, and organization can enhance their resilience against evolving cyber threats, right? And better protection of digital assets and operations. Cyber crisis management is a very key for the safeguarding, any network. So that has to be practiced. The training from a single person training needs to be done. We need to get onto a tabletop exercise where you put in all the organizations, all the sub organizations of the company, whether it's a legal, your HR, your admin, your PR, your finance, your board directors, your stakeholders. Everybody needs to be trained. It's not just IT training anymore, right? So that is where the training concept has to change. The mindset has to change. We need to be very proactive when we are there to safeguard the, the networks altogether.
Brilliant. Actually, in fact, thanks for even covering some of those topics around, what kind of hurdles do we normally look at in an enterprise, and how do you put some strategies in place to come out of it. So, thank you for covering that. Really appreciate. So, the other question that we have is, if you look at the trend, especially after COVID, from a hybrid workplace or remote work arrangements, right? Organizations, I'm sure, are grappling with balancing flexibility with that of, how do you have the right kind of security? Um, what do you think should be done, and in terms of enterprises trying to navigate this delicate equilibrium to safeguard their digital assets while having to have a flexible policy?
Yeah, but in fact, the remote work arrangement was good for some time, but when we came back, we have left the data. Most of the companies are their data has not come back, and the surge in remote work actually presents a unique challenge for maintaining the cybersecurity. And in the present scenario, when we are all getting back to the office, uh, and in fact, during the remote arrangement, we told that you can bring in your personal device. Unsecured devices also came up. Unsecured networks also were there, and it actually brought in a lot of kind of threat landscape increase, and there was lots of risk of the cyber attacks, right? And if you have to really balance the flexibility, security of the organization, you should have a multi-layered security measures. And one such measure is going for a zero trust. And if you are still going to have some people who are remotely working, implement a micro segmentation, implement a zero trust, implement a reverse proxy, have a very robust authentication method, have an endpoint security solutions, your employee training, and more so bring in SOAR, your XDR, right? So those kind of solutions which you need to implement, and by prioritizing the proactive measures, any of the organizations can effectively, safeguard their digital assets with remote work environment still in place. That's how it's really going to be working.
Fabulous. The other question related to this, again, the segment of cybersecurity that we are speaking about. What are the latest kind of cyber threats do you foresee, right? And what do you think organizations are doing in order to fortify their defenses against them?
Very interesting, and if you look at it, the whole scenario has changed. Like I told you, that we are under a constant threat, uh, whether it's a small, medium, or large, government or non-government, private, all organizations are under threat. And one study, if I tell you, it was by Recorded Future, that was of 2022, and it said that seven of the power grids in the country, two of the ports in the country are under the constant threat of APTs, APT 41 from China, to be very precise, right? And the cyber threat landscape is really evolving, and we need to presently what we is happening is we are behind the curve of where the attackers are going. We have to be ahead of the curve, right? And most of the organizations can face ransomware as a service, advanced persistent threat, and supply chain. And when I say ransomware as a service or supply chain, we always thought our organization is pretty safe. Now with the supply chain coming in, if the subsidiary or the third party organization which you're taking the services from, if it is vulnerable, you are vulnerable. Advanced persistent threats are going to be there because it's a very focused nation state actors. Ransomware is growing phenomenally, and as we are talking, every 11 seconds there is one ransomware attack happening. And whenever there's a ransomware attack which happens, it's not just that we have got a backup and we are back on track, or we have paid up the ransom, we are back on the track. It doesn't happen. The average is that your systems can be down for almost 60 days to an average of 21 days. So that's the kind of thing. So if you are ready for that kind of downtime, right? And these threats are becoming very focused, very sophisticated, very targeted. They often leverage the AI driven malwares. And the time has come where it's going to be AI versus AI. There are zero-day exploits. They are being exploiting, and believe you me, any device, any security, they are able to penetrate. And any piece of software which has been written is penetrable. It can be attacked. So they try every bit of it. Social engineering tactics to bypass your traditional security measures, your application security, WAFs, which are, I told you, that DDoS attacks, which are really growing up. So, to fortify these evolving threats, organizations must adopt a multi-layered approach to cybersecurity. It should be very proactive, right? And it should include advanced threat detection and response technologies using AI and ML to identify and mitigate threats in real time. And additionally, all the organizations should prioritize the security awareness for the employees. And like I told you, we should have more of tabletop exercises to help them recognize and respond to the phishing attempts and other social engineering attacks. And regular security assessments, your penetration testing, audits do help in identifying the vulnerabilities and weakness in organization security postures, and they really allow a timely remediation and mitigation to any threats which are coming up.
Superb, superb. Since you spoke about AI a lot, and I'm thinking about quantum computing, the world of IoT that is there, private 5G that people have been speaking about. Just wanted to understand, as they have huge potential, they also introduce some security concerns in the new age digital technologies, right? What do you think should be the role of a cybersecurity office or a security office? And how do you sort of deal with international cooperation or international agencies for having the right kind of cooperation to address all such kind of risks that exist in the new digital world?
Yeah, all the technologies are really evolving, and we are in a very interesting time. We are seeing AI, IoT, quantum, Web3, blockchain, all coming up in front of us, and all the emerging technologies. In fact, they are a double-edged sword presently, and while they promise unparalleled advancements, and at the same time they bring in the new security challenges. And all these technologies hold a very immense potential to transform the industries and drive innovation. And what we are seeing today is every technology which comes up, it actually introduces a novel security concern. And like I was telling earlier, any piece of software what we are writing today is vulnerable to cyber attack. However secure we may think so. Blockchain, people thought it's very secure. We still have the cyber attacks happening on them. You know, because what's happening is there are all AI powered cyber attacks. There are going to be IoT device vulnerabilities which are going to come. There are shadow IT devices which are there, and OT networks are also very vulnerable today. Like the critical infrastructure, all OT networks, the IIoT which is there, Industry 4.0 devices are there. So they're all vulnerable. 5G, your 6G, they're all vulnerable. And also the quantum computing encryption breaches. And interestingly, the Singapore government, the regulatory body, has told all the banks to work on quantum resistant algorithms, cryptographic algorithms, so that they are not being breached by a quantum computer. So that's the way they are all looking in for. And the cybersecurity, if you look at it, it plays a very critical role in mitigating these risks, ensuring that security measures evolve alongside the emerging technology, and it includes having very regular risk assessment and security audits to identify the potential vulnerabilities and implementing security controls and encryption protocols to protect sensitive data and systems. And what we can do is there is a theory which came up by Gartner. They said the risk and the threats are not going to be constant, and they are evolving every minute. So whatever device we have, whatever security solution what we put in, it should be tuned to the risks and threats in a continuous manner, right? So that's where we have to look in for the cybersecurity with the new age technologies coming in. And what is more important today is all the cybersecurity professionals, they must stay abreast with the latest development in the emerging technologies, because every minute while we are talking, there is some new technology coming up, some new methodology which is coming up, so that they are able to identify, anticipate potential security threats and vulnerabilities, and they can then develop very proactive strategies to address them for the organization and keep them protected.
Very interesting, Colonel Inderjeet Singh. So this really is brings us to the end of the podcast and the final list of questions. And we've had a very detailed conversation, but that pretty much gels with the what we wanted to together achieve, right, Suresh and me. So the Tech Decode is all about really building capsules of domain expertise, so that any person who wants to get into any topic like the internet, for example, or cloud or cybersecurity, watches an episode of about 30 to 40 minutes and encompasses and understands and assimilates everything about that particular topic. So, and I must say, you've covered it end to end, and it's been very engaging and very interesting. So I will, get on to what you were speaking last, and you were talking about what the people who are delving into or getting into cybersecurity, what kind of approach should they have? So I would flip that question back to you. That what advice would you give to anybody who wants to embark onto a journey of cybersecurity? How would you guide them onto the journey, and what should they really do?
Yeah. First and foremost, what they should do is they should immerse themselves in the field of cybersecurity by seeking out relevant resources. There are lots of books which are there. There are online courses. There are workshops which are happening. They should be all aware of that. They should have a strong foundation. Don't touch or scratch the surface. Have your fundamentals of cybersecurity right. You should know your the networking protocols which are there, know about the encryption, know about risk management, and cultivate a curious and inquisitive mindset about knowing the cybersecurity and constantly evolving field that requires continuous learning and adaptation. While we are talking, the things are changing. That's the way I look at it. The flick of your eyelash, and there's something new has come up. So seek out for opportunities for hands-on experience and try and participate with capture the flag that the CTF competitions. Dirty your hands, contribute to the open source projects, and also, you should network with the fellow cybersecurity professionals and engage with the broader cybersecurity community to share knowledge, collaborate on the projects, and stay informed about emerging trends and the best practices. If you are embarrassing lifelong learning as a methodology, and if you want to really pursue with the hands-on experiences, you can really aspire to be one of the best cybersecurity professional, and you can build up skills and expertise that are needed to succeed in this dynamic and rewarding field times.
Superb, superb. Colonel Singh, I think our listeners would love to get a little more of the fabulous knowledge and expertise that you have built, right? So, where can our listeners seek further insights into your work in the domain of cybersecurity? Any?
So all the professionals can connect with me on LinkedIn. I have my YouTube channel as well. At times, whatever I'm speaking, I try and put it there. You can also explore my publications. I do write a lot of papers. I give lots of presentations. I do put the experts of that. There are research papers which are been written by me. I have co-authored some of the books which are there. So those kind of repositories which are there, cybersecurity forums where I'm part of it. I write, I present papers, and those can be followed. And also the industry website. So they all have lots of data which I've been speaking on their platform. So dwelling on these resources, listeners really can, have a greater insight into my work and stay updated on the latest development in cybersecurity.
Thank you, Colonel Inderjeet Singh. This discussion has been really enlightening. That's what I started off with. I said we are looking forward to an enlightening discussion, and I can't find a better word to summarize that this discussion has been very enlightening. So, fellow listeners, we extend our sincere gratitude to Colonel Inderjeet Singh for sharing his valuable insights into the realm of cybersecurity, into the complex realm of cybersecurity. Be sure to tune in to our next episode as we journey further into the ever evolving landscape of technology and innovation. You were watching the Tech Decode by Akhil and Suresh. Until the next time, remain informed, vigilant, and most importantly, curious. Thank you, Colonel Inderjeet Singh, for joining us.
Thank
Thank
you.
Signing
you,
off.
Suresh. Thank you, Akhil. And thank you, Tech Decode, for having me here. I really enjoyed as much as you and sharing the knowledge on the platform. Thank you very much. Godspeed.
Thank you.